Good morning. It's Friday. It is the Friday Grief Chat. And Jill and Deb have Sherry Rickert Bellul. I think I just massacred your last name.
Perfect.
And she wrote a book that Deb and I mean, we read lots of books and we get excited about books, but we really love this book.
Oh, so, I just told Sherry, I took, 3 or 4 note pages of notes. So the first thing I want to say, Sherry, is thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so glad Krishna and you got a hold of us through Alan Klein, who's a friend of ours, friend of mine from the humor organization. And, one of his books, The Courage to Laugh, really inspired me. I got it after my mom died. And to really look more at death education, et cetera, et cetera. So I am so glad he is part of your mentors and mentees and things like that. Your book, The Love List of a Lifetime, The Essential End-of-Life Planner. I just want to tell our listening audience that it's really unfair that we're really only giving you a half hour today, maybe a teeny bit more, but not much, number one. And number two, because that's how good it is, this is really an easy read, hence I could get through it. And it has QR codes that you can love. Oh my gosh. And the QR codes I would have looked at if I had my computer and then I could use my phone, but alas and alack, that was not to be for a while.
They were awesome and easy to use.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And so
you know what I'd like, here's my humor. Here's what I love about QR codes, because I'm in my 60s and my staff are all much younger. And they don't remember the Challenger, right? And so I say, oh yeah, there's a QR code for this. And they say, you know how to use those? Not only do I know how to use them, I can make them. And I love that you put it in your book.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
So so I've always said talking about death does not make you die. And you said and I'm not getting an exact quote, but you talk about how talking about death and learning about it makes you feel more alive. Correct?
Yes, I always say, I've been saying this for years, talking about death brings me to life.
Yes.
Can I tell you why?
Yes, please.
Because to me, this is really important. There are so many reasons why I feel like doing our end of life planning and remembering we're going to die is a gift to ourselves and other people. And this is one of them, is that I feel like we cannot think about the fact that our lives are going to end without thinking about how we're living them. I'm a firm believer, right? It brings me right home to, am I loving right now? Am I living the life that really makes a difference in the world? Am I being kind to this person who I just crossed on the street? Because I'm going to die, and it could be this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
If I
choose not to be kind, that could be the last thing I do.
Exactly.
A lot of spiritual practices basically say, if you think of 2 things, love and death, everything else will fall into place. That's why Jill and I do what we do, is to bring to light, to shine a light or be in the light, on things that nobody else will talk about. And
to normalize it.
And to normalize it and to say things out loud. And you know what? No lightning so far has struck Jill or I, especially during a broadcast. So there's a couple of things I would like to say, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, because not only do you give tons of lists in there, which are phenomenal. But you do the usual POA. You make sure all the legal stuff. But one thing I think you do really well is the emotional stuff, emotional checklists, and the way you bring those in and you write them out. Everything from, you've got, anybody can look up all the legal ease and stuff, and you say you're not a lawyer, but you do put out, all these things about the instructions. Oh, don't forget. And the reasons why you do take care to prepare all this is to decrease the stress of everyone else. That is amazing. And things like, do you have a list of all your subscriptions, let alone passwords, but your subscriptions, like to meal plans and things like that to cancel? I mean, you have things like that, utilities, passwords. These are, your bank, your retirement, investment. You think about POA, you think about HIPAA if you need information, you think about, a will, but these are other things that you added. So good. So can you talk about decluttering so that you don't have all this stuff? And I liked, because this is, what I'm doing is like, it might not be worth saving. So why don't you talk a little bit about your decluttering of different things, including emotions?
Thank you. I love that, because I did a lot of research and personally have read a lot of end of life planners, and they're fantastic, right? There's so many great ones for sure. I did feel like there were some things that were missing, such as especially some of these areas in the second half of my book, including decluttering. And I think one of the things when I was interviewing people for this book that I heard over and over and over and over are these stories about when someone passes away and their house is full of stuff. And I actually have a really, really dear person in my life right now who's going through this. He's picking up every item, and every item feels so important. It's got a story attached. It's got
weight.
It's got weight. And the thing is, what is simple for, or maybe not simple for us, but at least more possible for us to do to clear out our things, to, really pare down what we have. For the person who it's left with, it is a near Herculean task, because they love you and they don't want to have to throw away any part of you. And the other piece of this is that, and I grew up with this too. I had a grandma that said, save those Avon bottles. They're going to be worth something. Save this, save that, save this collector this. And holy moly, none of that is worth well, I shouldn't say anything, but I can tell you, like, a lot of things that people think are valuable and they think it's a gift are actually leaving somebody with, like Jill said, heavy burden. And so one of the things I want to say, because this has been such a help for me, is I had probably like 25 boxes of things from my son's childhood. I am so sentimental. I'm so nostalgic. And this past Mother's Day, he was living in France and he came home, and I said, please, will you help me? I need to get rid of all this stuff because I don't want you to have to be burdened with this, right? And, oh, yeah, I love what Ian just said. Yeah. And so my son spent 12 hours with me in one day, and we went through all of his stuff from childhood, and he kept one binder of writings and poetry or artist, drawings that he had done, and we got rid of everything else. And so enlisting his aid, it really helped me, because now I know, at least in that one area, and I'm trying to do this in all the other areas, that he won't be burdened. He knows when I pass away, what is most important to him that I've left for him to keep is right there.
Mm-hmm. Wow. you know, and the fact that you enlisted his help, that was great. I mean, Jill's heard before my mother died, my brother and I in front of her stood. We sort of like to just tease my mom, but in front of this big glass cabinet, all of a sudden my brother says, well, you know, when mom dies, I mean, she's sitting right there, right? And when mom dies, I want this. I go, that's funny. I want this. And so we divvied it all up. And what was so poignant was when mom died, we said, well, we already said what we wanted. And we just divided it. It was sort of sad. It was poignant and it was easy.
Deborah. Oh. And you know what else I was projecting? I don't know if this happened, if your mother actually heard, but isn't it a beautiful thing? Like I've been asking my friends and family what they want. And there's something really beautiful about knowing like why my niece wants that particular necklace or why somebody else wants a particular hat. I feel so like there's something. And then I also know all those other ones can go to Goodwill or to, you know, to whatever, like, you know, women's shelter or wherever I can leave them. But I wonder if your mother, I wonder if that was somewhat beautiful for her to know that you treasure those things.
I think yes and no, because my mom never liked to talk about things unpleasant. And when she had to die, when she was dying, she knew I would talk about all things that nobody else would talk about. And she knew that's where my strength was. So we just, you know, did what we needed to do. And that's another story. I want to say to you, there is another section. Let me just find it. You talk about pinpricks of life, but there was one more thing. Wait, I want to get to it. Oh, a love list.
Yes. Thank you.
Can you share that?
Name of the book.
It's the name of the book.
I know, but you talk about what is a love list and who do you want to, I wrote this down. Who do I want to leave a boost of love? And what do you love about them? What's important in your life? And I just want to talk about that.
Yeah, and thank you, because to me, right, you know this because you've read the book. The first half is sort of legal logistical. The second half is really about leaving a legacy of love, because to me, there's two distinct areas of how we want to plan. And one of the things that I know, and we all know, is that when someone dies, we really, really, really want to be connected to them. We want to remember like all the stories and the love and what we shared together. And so the idea of leaving a love list for someone, and a love list it's a specific list of reasons we love someone. And I mean specific, you know, not like, you know, I love that you're funny, but actually try to think like, what shared joke do we have? You know, my mother and I have a shared joke about the taco tray we knocked over 25 years ago. You just say taco tray. And so it's like, if I were leaving one for my mom, it would say, you know, I love that time you knocked over the taco tray and that every time we make tacos, we laugh together. Like that. Because
exactly.
What it is for people. And again, I know a lot of people right now who are experiencing deep grief over deaths. And I keep thinking to myself, if only that person had left behind a love list and, you know, let this person know that why they were important to them, how they impacted their life, their favorite memories of times with them. It doesn't have to be long or hard to make. They're actually so uplifting to make. And so I you know, and I hope that most people will do their end of life planning now. And I mean now, whatever age you are, so that it's not like, oh my goodness, I'm, you know, 99 and I don't know how much time I have. Let me rush through all this, but you know, do it now and leave those love lists for people so that when they're grieving, they have this
tangible
living document that
yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, Illinois just passed a aid in dying.
Yeah.
I forget the actual name of it, but my cousin had that, when he said, I'm done, and this is when these will be the markers right before I say goodbye. And so he wanted people to meet with him. So we flew out,
Oh,
and he wanted to meet with Daryl and I, his cousins, because there's they know I'm really weird. And so they assume Daryl is as weird. And he really has grown into being as weird as I am. A lot of
Well, you
people
gotta
don't
match
know
up.
that.
Yeah.
What?
Mhm.
What?
You have
What'd
to
you say?
match up. You got to match up
We do.
eventually. Yeah.
Our energies do match. And so cousin Paul, was able to say a lot of things and hang with us without fear of, no, you have to live and blah, 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 which is all malarkey, which is the nice way of me saying that. But one of the things that you wrote about was your friend, I think it was Lisa, had a
yes.
farewell tour. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I was just thinking about Lisa. Yes, so Lisa was a coaching client of mine. So I have been teaching people how to make love lists for many, many years. It's the cornerstone of my work. And Lisa had made many of them. And when she too had scheduled medical aid in dying for her inoperable cancer, and she wrote to me to say Lisa always had a great sense of humor. She was a very creative person. And she said, I'm doing a farewell tour. And she wanted to do verbal love lists to everybody that had a huge impact in her life. And she had no idea I was writing this book at the time. It was total kismet that it just so happened I was trying to figure out how to end the book. And she reached out to me. We were on the phone on a Zoom call for 3 hours. And, not only did she get to share her verbal love list with me, I got to share mine with her. I recorded it. And she said those were the best days of her life. Calling and doing Zoom calls and sharing with people specifically why she loves them, how they impacted her life, and vice versa. And, of course, I was so sad that she was, leaving the planet. And yet, the last thing she said on our call, she didn't know I was writing the book at that time. And she said, if you want to share this story in any way, I would be so honored. And I said, Lisa, your story is going to ripple out. I'm going to put it in my book if you're okay with that. And so her farewell tour of love lists, I hope many people read that and are really inspired by her.
That's awesome.
Wow. I love that. Even if you're not going to take medical aid in dying, yes, knowing as you get older to have a farewell tour, you can always, Weird Al Yankovic and a few others, they always had a comeback tour, right? Foreigner, yes, and you can always have a comeback tour if you do well.
And it's something that should be done early. I do yes, so much work in Dementialand, and so much work with the senior crowd that we're all part of now. And I think about my late father-in-law, who went on his own farewell tour, and he went and visited all the places he'd lived, and there was literally nobody left at any of them. And he was the last one. And it makes me really wish that folks would do love lists earlier, like the folks who do the early, have the Irish bar moment and everybody and toast their own life with their friends there. Right?
Yes. And my first book is called Say It Now. And so I love that phrase. It's what I live by. And you're absolutely right. So I have made my mother, she was the first love list I ever made back when she turned 50. So that was 30 some years ago. And believe me, I have made her so many love lists. There's always a comeback tour for love, right? There's always so much more to say. And if it's okay, I did want to also say that's a double entendre, the name of the book. So the reason it's called A Love of a Lifetime is, first of all, I really believe in the power of Say It Now and giving these love lists as a practice throughout our lives. And there's a lot of lists in this book, as you two have pointed out. And I want people to really understand every single thing we do that plans for end of life is checking off one thing on that love list that is going to save people grief. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. Whatever we do is really a gift of love. And
It so is. Oh my
Right?
goodness. I was the one who was determined to be the end of life sitter with the mom of one of my extra kids. We collect pets and kids in this family. And her daughter did not want to be present when mom died. And mom was dying young of a horrific form of cancer. So daughter went to stay with friends in LA, and it was New Year's Eve of 2020.
Oh.
Should have known then, right? And she was still semi-conscious, and she showed me where her end of life documents were. She had done so much planning that she had all of her clothes attached with rubber bands so that the outfits would stay together with the accessories. She had identified what each piece of jewelry meant. And this is not someone who came from lots of money. She'd been a single mom.
Wow.
And she had obtained the rights to the music for her funeral because she wanted Springsteen and Queen and a couple of others. And she'd written 10 years before, long before cancer, to the companies and gotten releases to use their music at her funeral. She had chosen her scripture passages, which were weird, which is no surprise. And then she explained why she wanted them.
Wow.
So that the person who was forced to read these weird pieces of scripture would understand why this was coming at a funeral. But it was the whole 9 yards. Who was going to do the food, what she wanted for Katrina afterwards, all of those things. It was done. And she had, here's Marley's, here's this, here's that, do these. She done it all. And
That's
it saved her daughter
Right.
so much heartache at the age of 30.
Can you?
Her mom.
I mean, the amount, I just kept thinking love, 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 love. Every one of those things that she did.
Right.
And I think that that's the thing. If the amount of people that, when I tell them I've written an end of life planner and they say, I'll be dead, I don't care.
That's not fair.
It's not fair.
And don't say, I don't want a funeral. Stop it. You're not going to be there.
It's not for you, right?
Plan a memorial so your people have that moment to say goodbye. Stop that thing about not having a service. Stop it right now.
Right. And I think that that's the thing that it's like, and I'm not like blaming people, but I think in so many ways people just they're not thinking of what happens. They're not thinking, I'll be dead, but what about all these people I love? What's going to happen for them? How am I? And I'm always saying that it's like we prepare so well. Like if we have a presentation at work, oh my goodness, we are on it, right?
We are PowerPointed.
Right? If we're having a baby, we are on it. We're preparing.
We have a doula for having a baby.
But it's like we must do the same thing for end of life.
Mm-hmm.
So to that point, I want to say another part I really enjoyed, because I often tell people, they say, well, when do you think they're going to die? And I said, look, people come in to the world. It's very similar with babies, and it's very similar with people who are dying. You come in on your own time with whatever intervention, and you go out on your own time with whatever intervention. Just like with babies, you have a to-go bag. You mentioned you called it a to-go bag. Talk more about that. Talk what you can have in your to-go bag.
You guys, I think all the time that and this is way before I even wrote this book, but it's like I always thought if I'm lucky enough to have like to know that I'm going to go into hospice and perhaps have some time. Now, of course, we never know. I could get hit by a bus anytime. But I have been collecting a playlist of music. That's what started it for years. And it's music that each song means something to me.
Right.
And this year, it's one of my goals is to actually write that out because I know why it means something to me, but I think it'd be fun for other people to know. So I have music. And then I thought, you know, that blanket my sister gave me 20 years ago that is my comfort blanket. I want that in my to-go bag. And then I have a book, Letters to a Young Poet, that my friend Rachel gave me when I was
Rachel Rilke. Yes.
Yeah. So she gave me that book in college when I was so lost. It has my favorite quote about, you know, live the questions. And I thought, I want that by my bedside. Like, and I have pictures and I have, you know, it's like, to me, not the to-go bag, I guess that's food. The go bag is what brings you comfort, what reminds you of who you are and the people you love. What is it that sort of says, wow, I really lived a good life? And, you know, I have some artworks that really are very meaningful. I've had almost all my life, and pieces of jewelry that came from my grandmother, like just things that if I'm lucky enough for someone to say like, okay, you have a week or a month or whatever, that I could be surrounded wherever they take me with things that remind me of the best of the people and the life that I've lived.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you need to have your, what do I want to wear as I'm leaving the building? And if I'm going to be in a, you know, a casket where people are looking, I want to figure out what I want to wear.
All of it. What do you want to be
wearing? My late
wearing?
wife Linda picked out her clothes to go because, you know, it had to be an Angels shirt. So,
you know, and I love that. And I think what I love about you two, exactly.
I love you, Ian.
Oh, I love it, Ian. That's so great. Oh, Ian, you're so funny. What I love about you two is that when you're talking about all of this, and of course you know this already, but it's like there's a joy of living that is attached to the end of life. And I think that's the piece that a lot of people don't know is when we're thinking, like if you were thinking about, I mean, I'm going to donate my body to science, so I don't care what I'm wearing because they're probably just going to like get rid of it. However, if I were going to have a funeral and a casket, I think it would be really tender and beautiful to think like your wife did, like, oh, I have that angel scarf that my client gave me that I love, or, you know, what, or, oh, this is what represents the best of my life or whatever, you know, it helps us to process. And this is, I think, one of the people I interviewed talked about this, that she was writing her story to leave to her children. Mm-hmm. She talked about when you're writing your story, it helps you almost metabolize your life. And to really, like, you remember all the good things that our monkey minds made us forget, right? Like that you come back to and you like really can process through, this was a good life. This was
writing your own obituary so that you can be remembered for the things you want to be remembered for. That's one of the things we did with Linda. We couldn't do that with my second wife because she had Lewy body dementia. But with Linda, she was able to sit with my best friend, also from high school, Deb Haiping, and they wrote her, and my best friend Wendy, and they wrote her obituary together. And so she got to say the things, and she got to tell people that for her memorial, they were going to wear Angels baseball gear or Hawaiian shirts. She wanted it to be a celebration. So those things it's the love that you're leaving behind for someone and the permission to grieve in a way that works for you.
Yes. And I didn't know Linda. I'm sorry I didn't know Linda, but I love Linda from what you just said. And I bet that anybody who wore the, you know, Hawaiian shirt or the Angels gear, they felt her spirit in a different way than when you go. I hate going to funerals or memorials where it's just rote. I don't even, you know, it's like, where is the person?
And where you don't recognize who they're talking about.
Yes.
You know, at my dad's funeral, and he died very suddenly, and et cetera, and he was 39 years old, right? And very sudden. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because his funeral was the very first funeral I ever went to. And secondly, they didn't say nothing personable about my dad. They didn't, it was just all this, we grew up Jewish, so religious stuff. And I'm like, this is not my dad. This is not this. And so when my mom died, and I'll have to tell you the story later. We buried her in her clown costume. My mom and I are both clowns, and people got upset, but that wasn't their mother. It was our mother. And and so we had that, and I said, I'm never having a boring ride in a limo again. And I filled it with flags. I said, put different music on. I put clown flags in it. I decorated it. And
Deborah,
I said, I'm the one going to be left. So this is what we're doing. I need the story, and I have good stories. So
I know we're toward the end, but we had a hospice patient years ago in Florida, and his wife desperately needed her traditional funeral, and he didn't like church. He didn't want one. And he told me, and we had lots of meetings away from her. He said, she needs that. She can have that. We'll get it all set up. But we are going to plan the memorial. And he wrote letters with me to every child, every grandchild, all his friends, and he left them with me. And then he planned, they lived on a lake, a barbecue, and he hired the caterer, and he hired a country band, and he ordered flowers for his wife, and he did that thing where you have flowers delivered once a week for a year, and he paid for that. He did all of it. So the day he died, while I was there cooking pancakes as he was laying in his lazy boy, as we waited for the mortuary, I got to hand out the letters and tell them about the plans. And it was a living love letter to every single person. The thing was done.
That's right.
I just got chills.
Honored
them for her. It was the most amazing thing. And, he had the resources to do it, and he had time because he had a cancer that was a little slower growing. But we can do that in all kinds of ways. And if they use your book, Sherry, to make sure they're checking off all those boxes so that there's someone appointed to make the decisions, because if you don't, it's going to be a mess. And don't do it by committee, because that's just stupid. Then we can give people more of that kind of farewell.
And I hope people are feeling this, because when you two are sharing these stories, what happens is I'm falling in love with these people, right? I'm falling in love with them. And what they're leaving behind is such palpable love. And that's what we want when we're grieving. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. We all know that. Oh, thank you, Ian. I love Ian. So great. It's like, the more that we can wrap all that grief in authentic love, it's easier for all of us.
And give those who are left behind this is what I'm going to hang on to about them, because that's what I was important to them for. Right?
So
that's incredible.
I want to wrap up, but before we do, I do have this question. Yeah, I don't want to, but we need to. But what I would like to ask is, at the end of your book, there's a lot of resources. Is it okay if Jill puts a few resources like the death deck and a couple other things on our site? Is that okay with you?
Take everything. And the death deck. I knew you guys would love the death deck, because I've been using it, and it does bring that touch of humor. Yes, please.
Right.
So that's number one.
Go ahead.
So that's number one. And lastly, I want to say the name of the book, and we can order it on Amazon, or where do we get it?
Amazon is in the chat from today. Also, bookshop.org, which really supports independent bookstores. So I always like to, throw those.
Which.org?
Bookshop.org.
Bookshop.org.
Okay, yes. We can do that. And the name of the book from Sherry Bellew, say your last name. Bellew. Yeah. Is The Love List of a Lifetime. Oh, yeah. Great. You have that there. Central End of Life Planner. And this is great. It's got your mind, body, spirit, if you want to say that, or your like all your legal beagle stuff and your emotional stuff. So you can really unpack a lot with all her lists and get it together. So
And
thank
I'll
you
put the
so
list on the
much.
Facebook page, Deb, so that people can find it separate from the podcast.
Thank you.
too. I love you. And I just want to say a special appreciation. Even before you said it, I had been noting to myself, I love that you're normalizing these conversations. And not only that, but you're bringing your beautiful spirits and energy. And so thank you. Thank you for all the work you do. This is so important. Mwah.
I'm so glad you're
Thank you,
here.
Sherry.
So good to meet you too.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.